The Black Templars. Love them or hate them, we all know them. And some people have a rough understanding of their real-life inspiration, but for every fan who knows about it, there are around 100 who haven't a single clue. And it's understandable as to why. The Black Templars are inspired by a mess of multiple military orders thrown together and caked in the grimdark of the 41st millennium. The Black Templars are quite the zealous chapter, revering the Emperor of mankind as a god, much like the average follower of the imperial cult. It's no wonder that they're modeled after a multitude of Catholic military orders, their zeal and reverence for the God Emperor, paired with their medieval aesthetic, certainly making a good fit. The aesthetic of 40K as a whole makes great use of Catholic inspiration, from the design aesthetic of their cathedrals and clergy, to the holy relics, the Crusades, Latin-esque High Gothic, saints, and everything else. But the Templars lean pretty heavily into it, and this video explores that. So sit tight, grab your rosary and your bolter, and enjoy the video. Despite their name, the Black Templars are not all too visually similar to the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar, also known as Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, existed as a military order under the Catholic faith, undoubtedly one of the most well-known, and heaviest LARPed, orders of Crusaders. Founded in 1118, their original goal was to protect the pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land, eventually becoming endorsed by the decrees of Pope Innocent II. They lived as warrior monks, knights eating their meals in silence as prayers were read aloud, only eating meat up to 3 times a week, forbidden to have physical contact with women, amongst many other rules that were similar to those with monastic vows. Eventually, the order grew to be one of the domineering forces in the Holy Land, serving largely as elite shock troops on horseback. It's clear that, at least in their battlefield role, monastic life, and general zeal, the Black Templars share quite a bit with the Knights Templar. The Black Templars take in all of these traits and multiply them tenfold. However, they bear little resemblance in terms of design to one another as some people imagine them. Whilst they are both knightly, of course, the average knight in the Knights Templar sported a white surcoat and mantle adorned with a red cross. This is in stark contrast to the aforementioned Astartes, clad in all black with white heraldry, although it is a neat detail, and I'm not sure if this was intentional, that the Sword Brethren, the elites of the chapter, have red trim and heraldry. This greatly mirrors the sergeants of the Knights Templar, who sported a black surcoat and mantle along with their typical red cross. Another huge difference is that the Black Templars actually utilize the 8-pointed Maltese cross, rather than the cross pate of the Knights Templars. As we'll cover next, you may be surprised to learn that the Black Templars actually take most of their design inspiration from an entirely different order, the Knights Hospitaller. As mentioned, the Black Templars are largely inspired and designed by the Knights Hospitaller. You may be thinking, oh, like the Hospitaller Sisters, and you'd be correct. The Hospitaller Battle Sisters are directly inspired by the Knights Hospitaller as well. The Order of the Knights Hospitaller, or Order of the Knights of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, was founded in the 12th century in the Crusader state of Jerusalem. They came into being during the Cluniac movement, which sought to reform the Benedictine monastic order from within and further emphasize their care for the poor and bolster religious devotion. Benedictine monks cared for the sick and injured in the Holy Land, not only pilgrims, but traveling Muslims and Jews as well. They became a distinctly recognized order by Pope Paschal II in 1113, and they began to flourish. Over time, the order began to hire knights and mercenaries to protect their hospitals and escort pilgrims to safety. Eventually, they grew to become a military order on top of their original purpose. Accounts from Hospitaller priests say that hired knights oftentimes eventually became Hospitallers themselves, embracing the religious devotion and way of life. One of the most notable things that the Black Templars take from them is their cross. As previously mentioned, the chapter uses the 8-pointed Cross of Malta, not the Germanic Iron Cross that many think. Whilst other orders use the cross in real life, such as the Order of St. Lazarus, it's most notably known from the Knights Hospitaller Order. The Maltese cross, however, was not largely used until the 16th century. The 8 points have a number of possible meanings, most notably a reference to the 8 Beatitudes, or perhaps the 8 languages of the Hospitaller Order. The Black Templars, clad in, you guessed it, black ceramite armor, visually mirror the Hospitallers in their color scheme. It's funny because there's another successor chapter of the Imperial Fists, named the Hospitallers, who then wear the color scheme of the Knights Templar. It seems that the Adeptus Administratum had their history mixed up sometime in the 31st millennium. The organization of the Black Templars also parallels the Knights Hospitaller. You see, after the Holy Land was lost, the Knights Hospitaller became a mobile, naval military order. They functioned and operated out of massive fleets, being deployed to various areas throughout Europe. Similarly, we can see the Black Templars mimic this in their fleet-based chapter organization. They don't have a homeworld like most other chapters of Space Marines, living on warships on an eternal crusade. Even the way they self-govern is similar. After the Knights Hospitaller grew largely in size, the order was separated into different commanderies, which were essentially regional estates, as well as different tongues and nationalities. Each of these subgroups had their own self-governing autonomy, similarly to how different crusade groups of the Black Templars do. The Black Templars, being a gigantic chapter on an eternal crusade, are split into crusade fleets. These are each led by a different marshal, who is given the freedom to command and control the entire fleet, slaughtering Xenos, heretics, and mutants all across the galaxy as they see fit. Since the Black Templars are considered to be on an eternal crusade, they bypass the Codex and are allowed to have as many Astartes as they please. The Knights Hospitaller, amongst other Catholic military orders at the time, were oftentimes given papal bulls, or papal decrees, that allowed them to grow armies far past the local laws of the regions that they were inhabiting. The Black Templars often get flanderized as crazy power-armored Germans, but in reality, their Germanic inspiration is less integral to them compared to all the stuff we've already talked about. They are definitely still Germanic though. For instance, they lean very heavily into it for their naming conventions. Sigismund, for one, means victorious protector, or protection through victory in German. Helbrecht combines helm, meaning helmet or protection, along with Brecht, meaning light or illustrious. Their color scheme, whilst very close to that of the Knights Hospitaller, is closer to the Germanic Teutonic Knights. The Teutonic Knights, or the Order of Brothers of the German House of St. Mary in Jerusalem, were similar to the Knights Hospitaller in their original goal of supporting hospitals and defending pilgrims. They, however, eventually fell into becoming less of a religiously motivated order after the Crusades, and more into a political tool that was thinly veiled with religiosity. Their tabards and surcoats tended to be white with black iconography, the Teutonic Knights closer resembling the Black Templars than the Hospitallers. And perhaps most shamefully, is the level of brutality that the Teutonic Knights showed. Whilst in many established Crusader states, the differing populations coexisted in relative peace during certain periods of time without warfare, although it is true that they lived under much worse and much more reprehensible conditions, the Teutonic Knights were known for their systemic slaughter of Northern Europe, offering two options: baptism or death. It was so brutal, in fact, that at the Council of Constance from 1414 to 1418, Polish and Lithuanian Catholics accused them of violating the Christian ethics and laws of war, as well as ignoring genuine conversion efforts to turn people to Christ. This blind fanaticism, violence, and brutality definitely went into the cultural creation of the Black Templars and their attitude as a whole. They do not negotiate or engage in diplomacy, offering complete adherence to the Imperial Creed or death. I hope that by now you've learned a little something about the different Catholic military orders that helped inspire one of the most interesting and bastardized chapters of the Astartes. I honestly really like the Black Templars. They're uniquely zealous and are written enticingly in all the models that they're featured in, plus, who can resist something as cool as the Emperor's Champion model or a Castellan? Regardless, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and maybe were even inspired to look more into Catholic orders and organizations on your own. A few that I named in this video still exist to this day. Let me know if you enjoy this sort of content, what else you want to see from me, and I'll see you in the next one.